The winter morning in Boston was cold and clear. Melissa Hudson watched the morning sun streaming through the window as she began her day. Following the same routine every morning gave her a sense of stability. It reflected her personality as an accountant well. Neatly organized documents, punctual schedules, and above all, predictable days. But this morning was different. The engagement ring placed on her bedside table sparkled in the morning light. Melissa put the ring on the fourth finger of her left hand and gazed at its brilliance. It had been a year since she met Ryan, and 3 months had already passed since their engagement. 2 weeks until the wedding. She took a deep breath while mentally checking her preparation list. "I still need to call my family," she murmured, picking up her smartphone. When she had announced her engagement, her family's reaction was unexpected. Especially her parents. Melissa. Her father Henry's voice still echoed in her ears. His tone suggested he couldn't believe such a miracle. Her mother Diane similarly asked, "Really?" Ryan Morrison. In the Hudson family, Melissa had always been the plain daughter. Her father Henry was known as the president of a major real estate development company, Hudson Properties, whose success and wealth commanded respect in Boston's social circles. He was so strict and efficient that employees called him the Iron Man. Her mother Diane had been known for her beauty since youth and had once been a model who graced the covers of fashion magazines. She visited the spa 3 times a week to maintain her perfect appearance. At Boston charity parties, her aesthetic eye and sense of fashion always attracted attention. Born to such parents, Melissa had somehow become the ordinary daughter. Though always excellent in academics, she was overshadowed in the family by her sister Jeanette and brother Mike. Jeanette inherited her mother's beauty and sociability, married a famous architect, and had 3 children, becoming the perfect daughter. Mike joined their father's company and was expected to be the next president. "Melissa is so serious," her mother often said, words that seemed like a compliment, but Melissa always felt concealed the meaning boring. Her success as an accountant was taken for granted in her family and not particularly praised. However, when she failed, it became a topic at family meetings, and she would typically be questioned with, "Why didn't you think more carefully?" Melissa was still staring at her smartphone, summoning the courage to make the call. She needed to make final confirmations for the wedding. Her parents and siblings had said they would attend, but Melissa wasn't sure how much to believe them. After all, last year her mother and sister couldn't come to her birthday party due to urgent matters. Taking a deep breath, Melissa called her mother's number. "Hello, Melissa? I'm a bit busy right now. I'll call you back later." Melissa could hear lively voices in the background. It seemed her mother was having lunch. "I'm sorry, Mom. I just wanted to confirm about the wedding. Of course we're coming. After all, you've made a good choice for the first time in your life." Her mother's voice was clearly tinged with sarcasm. "You're very lucky that a man like Ryan chose you." Melissa silently accepted this. From her mother's perspective, it must have seemed like a miracle that Ryan Morrison, the CFO of a major IT company, had chosen her. "The lobster here is exceptional, Diane." A voice heard in the background was her sister's. "Are you with Jeanette?" Melissa asked. "Yes, just a little mother-daughter lunch." "You must be busy, right? Make sure you take care of your work." Her mother hastily tried to end the call. Melissa started to speak but stopped. She wanted to say it would have been nice if they had invited her too, but she realized such expectations were foolish. "Yes, then I'll see you at the wedding," she said, maintaining her composure. After hanging up, silence returned to her quiet apartment. Melissa headed to the kitchen and made coffee. Would her parents come on her wedding day? She shook her head as if to dismiss her anxiety. If they didn't come, that was also part of her life. What mattered was her future with Ryan, not the past. But deep in her heart, she had a wish to be blessed by her family, just once. That afternoon, after finishing a meeting at the office, Melissa's cell phone rang. It was from Ryan. "I can leave work early today. What about dinner?" At his warm voice, Melissa naturally smiled. "Anything is fine. I'm just happy to see you." Meeting Ryan, Melissa learned for the first time what it meant to be loved unconditionally. He chose her not because she was an excellent accountant or a Hudson daughter, but simply because she was Melissa Hudson. The morning of the wedding day began with a clear blue sky in May. Melissa squinted at the light streaming through the hotel window, realizing that today was a special day. "Are you ready?" Laura, her friend since college, entered the room with a makeup artist. "Yes, I think so," Melissa smiled, but there was anxiety in her voice. Laura placed her hand on Melissa's shoulder. "Today is your day. Everything will be perfect." Melissa nodded, but in her mind, she was thinking about her family. Last night, when she made the final confirmation call, her father said, "Of course I'll be there, it's my daughter's wedding," but she could hear meeting voices in the background. Her mother also said, "I'm looking forward to it," but her response seemed somewhat indifferent. Nevertheless, she had decided to enjoy this day. As she put on her wedding dress and had her makeup done, Melissa took deep breaths to ease her tension. "You are truly beautiful," Laura said with tears in her eyes. Melissa looked in the mirror. The simple yet elegant dress fit her body perfectly, and the sophisticated makeup enhanced her natural beauty. Even she couldn't believe how radiant she looked. "Ryan is going to faint," Laura joked, and they both laughed. It was about a 20-minute drive from the hotel to the small stone chapel in the Boston suburbs. The car that was supposed to carry Melissa and her father arrived, and the driver came to escort her. "Where is my father?" Melissa asked. "It seems he hasn't arrived yet," the driver answered politely. Looking at the clock, it was already an hour before the ceremony. Melissa took out her cell phone and called her father, but there was no answer. She called her mother too, with the same result. Anxiety gripped her chest. "Laura, could you go ahead? I'll wait for my family." Laura looked worried but nodded. "Don't wait too long. The ceremony starts at 2. Melissa waited. 30 minutes passed, and word came from the chapel that guests were already arriving. Ryan's entire family had assembled, and his friends had gathered. However, there was no sign of Melissa's family. After 45 minutes, she called her mother again. This time there was an answer. "Mom, where are you?" "It's about to start," Melissa's voice trembled. "What? Was it today?" Her mother's voice sounded surprised. "Sorry, I'm at a spa vacation in Positano, Italy. I completely forgot your date." Melissa froze. "Forgot? My wedding? I'm sorry, but this is the best spa. You should come sometime too. It's great for stress relief." Her mother's voice had more of an excited tone than apologetic. Next, she called her sister Jeanette. "Jeanette, what happened with the wedding?" "It's today." "Oh, Melissa," Jeanette's voice rang cheerfully. "Yes, I heard. But, I mean, you'll just end up divorced anyway, right? It's a waste of time," and she laughed. Melissa's hand trembled. "Is everyone there?" "Of course. It's a family trip." "You declined because work was busy, didn't you?" "I didn't decline. I wasn't even invited." Melissa's voice rose. "Oh, Dad said he told you." Jeanette hesitated for a moment. "Well, whatever. Congratulations. Send us pictures." After the call ended, Melissa stood frozen in the hotel hallway. Her entire family had forgotten, no, deliberately ignored, her wedding and gone on a family trip to Italy. And she hadn't even been invited. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Not caring about her makeup, she leaned against the wall. She had been betrayed and hurt by her family many times before, but she never thought they would do so on this day. However, the clock was mercilessly advancing. 15 minutes until the ceremony. The driver quietly spoke up. "Miss, we need to leave soon." Melissa took a deep breath. For a moment, she considered canceling everything. But Ryan's face appeared in her mind. He and his family, along with her friends, were waiting at the chapel. "Let's go," she forced out the words. Upon arriving at the chapel, before getting out of the car, Melissa checked her face in the mirror. She fixed her makeup, took a deep breath, and put on a smile. She didn't want anyone, especially Ryan, to notice she had been crying. Entering the church, music was playing softly. Ryan's father was waiting for her in the hallway. "Melissa, you look truly beautiful," he smiled gently. "Where is your father?" "He couldn't make it," she answered, maintaining her composure. "It seems something urgent came up." Ryan's father's brows furrowed slightly, but he quickly smiled. "Then, may I have the honor of escorting you? It would be my privilege to walk my son's bride to the altar." Tears welled up in Melissa's eyes, but they were tears of gratitude, not sadness. She nodded. The doors opened, and the music grew louder. Everyone stood up and smiled at her. And at the altar, Ryan stood watching her. His eyes were filled with love and pride. Escorted by Ryan's father, Melissa slowly began to walk. Her family wasn't there, but this place was filled with love. Ryan's family, her friends, and above all, Ryan himself, who loved her with all his heart. Reaching the altar, Ryan took her hand. "Are you okay?" he whispered. Melissa took a deep breath and answered. "Yes, my family couldn't make it. But it's our special day." Ryan squeezed her hand and quietly said, "Your family is here now." Those words spread warmth through Melissa's heart. The priest began the ceremony, and they pledged their love to each other. Surrounded by Ryan's family and blessed by friends, Melissa took a step into her new life. The reception was small but wrapped in a warm atmosphere. No one pried about her family, they simply celebrated the happiness of the bride and groom. As the night deepened, Melissa and Ryan returned to their hotel room and gazed at the night view of Boston from the window. "Any regrets?" Ryan quietly asked. Melissa shook her head. "No, not at all. Today was perfect." "But your family?" "Today, I found my true family," Melissa smiled. "You and your family." Ryan embraced her. "I won't let anyone hurt you again." After returning from their honeymoon, where they enjoyed the blue skies and crystal-clear waters of the Caribbean, Melissa was preparing to face the reality of work. The week-long vacation in the Bahamas was the happiest time of her life. Ryan had treated her like a princess, and the time spent in their own world had healed the wounds from her family's absence. "Are you working late today?" Melissa asked Ryan while drinking coffee in the kitchen of their apartment. Ryan smiled with an unusually tense expression. "Actually, I have special plans today. I'll pick you up at 6. Could you dress up and wait? Is it some kind of celebration?" Melissa was curious. "It's a surprise," he kissed her cheek and left. All day, Melissa couldn't get Ryan's words out of her head. While dealing with numbers in her accounting firm office on the 15th floor of the building, her thoughts kept drifting to the evening surprise. Ryan's kindness always brought stability to her heart, which swung between the happiness of being newly married and the pain of being ignored by her family. At exactly 6 o'clock, Ryan appeared at her office. He was more formally dressed than usual, wearing an expensive suit. "Ready?" he asked, and Melissa nodded. Following Ryan's message, she was wearing a navy blue cocktail dress. "Where are we going?" she asked as they got into the car. Just a little more patience, Ryan's eyes had a playful light. The car headed to the outskirts of Boston and eventually entered the upscale residential area of Beacon Hill. Passing by the row of mansions, the car stopped in front of a large stone house surrounded by beautiful gardens. "We're here," Ryan said, and the driver opened the door for them. "Where is this?" Melissa asked, looking overwhelmed. The three-story mansion showed an exquisite harmony between historical solidity and modern sophistication. "This is our new home," Ryan answered quietly. Melissa was speechless. "You're joking, right?" she finally managed to say. "We can't afford a house like this, how?" Ryan took her hand and led her to the entrance. "Let's go inside. I'll explain everything." Once inside, an incredibly luxurious interior spread before them. Marble floors, antique furniture, and real works of art adorned the walls. Melissa stood with her mouth open, looking around. "Ryan, what is all this?" "Let's sit down," he guided her to the living room. Large windows offered a panoramic view of Boston's night skyline, and a fire was lit in the fireplace. Melissa, I've been keeping something from you, Ryan said with a serious expression. My family isn't just executives of an IT company. My grandfather was a pioneer in the tech industry and founded the Morrison Foundation, an investment group. And I am the main heir. Melissa stared at Ryan. But you've always lived so simply. I didn't tell you from the beginning because I wanted someone who would love the real me. Ryan held her hand. I was tired of people approaching me for money and status. So I lived as an ordinary CFO. But now, I want to share everything with you. Melissa was confused. The Ryan she knew was certainly wealthy, but she never imagined he was such a tycoon. That's why your suits were always perfect, she gave a small laugh. Ryan laughed too. Yes. Perhaps my only luxury. But why now? When your family didn't come to the wedding, I decided I would never let you be hurt again. His eyes were serious. And I wanted to start our new life honestly. No secrets. That night, over wine, Ryan explained the structure of his family business. The Morrison Foundation made investments worldwide, involved in various fields from technology to energy and real estate. And he told Melissa that she was now a shareholder in multiple large corporations. This is too overwhelming, Melissa said after a while. I still can't grasp it. Take your time to get used to it, Ryan said gently. Nothing changes. I'm still the same Ryan, and my reasons for loving you haven't changed. Melissa nodded. Her heart was filled with gratitude and love, but she also felt anxiety. This was completely different from the life she had imagined. Is there any connection between your family business and my father's company? She suddenly thought to ask. Ryan looked at her with a slightly surprised expression. Actually, your father's company is sustained by financing from our group. Why do you ask? Just curiosity, Melissa shrugged. But in her heart, she was surprised by this coincidence. The Morrison Investment Group provides financing to many real estate development companies. Hudson Properties is one of them. But that's been the case since before we met, and it has nothing to do with you. Melissa nodded quietly. But deep in her heart, she was thinking about what this information meant and what would happen if her family found out. Any other questions? Ryan gently asked. That's enough for now, she said with a smile. It's just, our lifestyle will change significantly, won't it? Only where we live and some social obligations will change. Our relationship won't change at all. Ryan moved closer to her. If you want, you can continue working as an accountant just like before. I respect your choices. Melissa was deep in thought. Being an accountant was part of her identity. But at the same time, standing in a position with greater influence opened up new possibilities. I need some time to think, she said honestly. Of course, Ryan gently kissed her hair. Whatever you choose, I'll support you. That night, lying in their spacious bedroom, Melissa stared at the ceiling. Her life had changed dramatically in just a few days. Marriage, family betrayal, and now she was standing at the entrance to a world of wealth and power she had never imagined. She looked at Ryan sleeping beside her. His peaceful sleeping face had the sincerity she loved. She understood that he had hidden his true identity to find genuine love. Staring at the starry sky visible from the window, Melissa suddenly thought that her family not coming to her wedding might ironically have been the luckiest event in her life. Without it, Ryan might have delayed revealing his true self. And she was thinking about one more thing. What would it mean that her father's company depended on financing from Ryan's family business? She had no intention of using it, but she couldn't help feeling the irony of fate. Melissa took a deep breath and closed her eyes. Her new life would begin tomorrow. And she was ready to walk it together with Ryan, wherever it led. A week after starting life in their new home, on Friday afternoon, Melissa was working in her home office. She had decided to continue her work as an accountant but had changed to a flexible working style, going to the office only 3 days a week and working from home the rest of the time. Her company, knowing her new position, gladly accepted her request. From the window, she could see beautiful flowers in the courtyard, with the Boston cityscape stretching in the distance. She was still in the midst of trying to get used to this new life. Martha, the housekeeper, quietly knocked on the door. Ma'am, it's tea time. Thank you, Martha, Melissa smiled. Martha had been working in this house since before her marriage to Ryan and had warmly welcomed the new mistress. Suddenly, the doorbell rang violently. Normally, visitors would first be checked by security through the intercom. Melissa frowned and looked out the window. There was a familiar car parked outside. No way. As she was about to descend the stairs, Martha approached with a flustered look. Ma'am, I'm sorry. There are people who broke through the gate security. They claim to be the Hudson family. Melissa's heart pounded. Her father, mother, sister Jeanette, and brother Mike were standing in the entrance hall. Their faces were pale, and her father, in particular, looked more distressed than she had ever seen. Melissa. Henry, her father, shouted. What is going on? What's happening? Melissa took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. Hello, Dad. It seems you all enjoyed Italy. This is no time for jokes, her father yelled. His face was distorted with anger and fear. Why are you living in a house like this? What's your relationship with the Morrison Group? Mother Diane stepped forward, crying. Please, Melissa. What's happening? Our friends suddenly started avoiding us. And we're no longer invited to social parties. Melissa was momentarily confused since she hadn't given any instructions. What are you talking about? Father pulled out documents with trembling hands. We received a notice from the Morrison Group. They said our financing is suddenly being withdrawn. The company will collapse. Melissa received the documents and looked through them. Indeed, it stated, the Morrison Investment Group is terminating its financing contract with Hudson Properties due to strategic policy changes. This has nothing to do with me, Melissa said quietly. I need to ask Ryan to understand. Ryan, her father's eyes widened. Your husband Ryan Morrison is from that wealthy Morrison family. Melissa quietly nodded. Her father collapsed into an office chair. Why didn't you tell us? Her mother asked, crying. If we had known, we would never have. Never have what? Not come to the wedding. Melissa's voice was ice cold. Will you suddenly be kind to me just for money and status? Jeanette stepped forward. Tears were in her eyes. Melissa, please. We're family. Help us. Family. Melissa responded in a calm but strong tone. The family where no one came on the day I needed the most? Mike spoke for the first time. He looked perplexed. I really couldn't make it because of work. Dad said, Melissa said she would postpone it. Melissa's eyes moved to Mike. Her brother had always believed what their father said. He might have had the purest heart in the family. The entrance door opened, and Ryan came home. He quickly assessed the situation and smiled calmly. The Hudson family. It's an honor to meet you, he said coolly. You're Morrison? Her father asked in an astonished voice. Yes, Melissa's husband. Ryan entered the living room and stood next to Melissa. It was unfortunate that you couldn't attend the wedding. Father indicated the documents with trembling hands. What is the meaning of this? Why are you withdrawing our financing? Ryan looked through the documents and calmly answered. The withdrawal of financing is merely a business decision. Although our investment strategy has changed, and... He glanced at Melissa for a moment. Personally, I don't desire business relations with people who don't value Melissa. Is this revenge? Her father's voice trembled. Not revenge, but a matter of values, Ryan coolly replied. Also, my family has significant influence in social circles. I'm afraid we don't wish to associate with those who don't value Melissa. The room was wrapped in heavy silence. Fear and regret were visible on the faces of the Hudson family. The plain daughter they had belittled now held their social and economic lifeline. We'll go bankrupt. Her father muttered. Melissa took a deep breath and looked around at her family. When I married Ryan, I didn't know who he was. I only knew that he loved me. Her voice was strong and clear. But now, for all of you, his status and wealth are what matter. She looked into her father's eyes. For 35 years, I was treated as second class in the family. My success was taken for granted, and my failures were made into a big deal. Even on my wedding day, you all pretended to forget the most important day of my life and went on a family trip I wasn't invited to. Her mother let out a sob. Melissa, I'm so sorry. If we could do it over. The question is whether you're truly sorry or just afraid of the consequences, Melissa said quietly. Ryan took Melissa's hand. What you want is what matters most. The room was again wrapped in silence. Melissa gazed out the window. Her heart swayed with complex emotions. Anger, sadness, and a strange sense of liberation. The suffering she had carried for years had finally surfaced. Ryan, let me see the documents, she said quietly. Ryan handed her the papers. Melissa read for a while, then looked up. First, we shouldn't discuss solutions here and now. You all should go home, calm down, and think about it. But, Melissa. Her father pleaded. Dad, can you now understand what I've felt for years? Melissa said quietly. The feeling of being told you have no value, of not being needed. She stood up. We'll talk again in a week. In the meantime, Ryan and I will discuss this matter. Her family members stood speechless, staring at her. Melissa escorted them to the door. Let's meet here at 10 on Monday morning. After they left, Melissa returned to the living room and stood by the window. Ryan gently embraced her from behind. You're strong, he whispered. Melissa turned to face him in his arms. Are you really withdrawing the financing? Ryan looked into her eyes. That depends on you. Whatever decision you make, I'll support you. Melissa took a deep breath. There was a light of determination in her eyes. I want to teach them a lesson. But I don't want to destroy them. That's right, Ryan smiled. And that's one of the reasons I love you. The two gazed at the Boston skyline visible from the window, beginning to think about the path ahead. In Melissa's heart was a wish for justice, not revenge. And for the first time, she had the power to fulfill that wish. 3 years later. Melissa Morrison stood in the center of the garden, smiling at the gathered people. Thank you all for coming to the Morrison Family Foundation's second annual party today, her voice was filled with confidence. Last year, we started educational support for underprivileged children in Boston. This year, we've been able to expand the program and establish a family support center. Amidst the applause, Melissa looked at Ryan. He smiled back at her proudly. Between them sat their 1-year-old daughter, Emma. In a corner of the party were also the Hudson family members. Father Henry looked older than before, but there was a new gentleness in his eyes. Mother Diane was holding Emma, talking to her affectionately. Jeanette and Mike were also there, spending time with their own children. Many things had changed since that day. Melissa and Ryan did not immediately withdraw financing from Hudson Properties. Instead, they reviewed the company's management structure and created a gradual plan to transfer authority from her father to her brother Mike. The Hudson family could no longer live the luxurious life they once had, but they avoided bankruptcy. The biggest change was in family relationships. The initial apologies might have been just formalities, but as time passed, their remorse became genuine. Especially Mother Diane, who began actively participating in Melissa's foundation activities, and their relationship gradually healed. I underestimated my sister's strength, Jeanette said 6 months after the reforms. You were much stronger than any of us. Mike devoted himself to rebuilding the company, sincerely accepting Melissa and Ryan's advice. In addition to his business talent, he gained the trust of employees with a human warmth that his father had lacked. The slowest to change was Father Henry. For someone with his pride, being saved by his daughter was a bitter pill to swallow. However, with the birth of his granddaughter Emma, he too began to open his heart little by little. Toward the end of the party, Melissa was standing alone in a corner of the garden. Father Henry slowly approached her. You're doing wonderful foundation work, Melissa, he said quietly. You've succeeded in ways I never imagined. Melissa smiled. Thank you, Dad. That day, the day of your wedding, I will regret it for the rest of my life, he said for the first time in a completely sincere tone. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted to tell you that I'm proud of you. Melissa took her father's hand. We can't change the past, but we can change the future. That's what I've learned. In the distance, Ryan waved at her while holding Emma. Melissa smiled back at them. There was peace in her heart. The pain of the past hadn't completely disappeared, but it had become a scar that strengthened her. She had learned that true family bonds aren't just about blood relations, but about respecting and supporting each other. And now, she was blessed with both the family she had built and the original family she had repaired. It was happiness in the truest sense, something she had longed for a long time.